In this video, let's talk about polymorphism. Remember, we have talked about method overriding and then we said there is something more. This is where we are talking about. So we have a concept of polymorphism. Now, this is a very important concept in terms of OOP, and most of the languages which implements OOPs has this concept. Now, what is polymorphism? Now, basically, as a concept, it has two words. One is poly, second is morphism. Now, poly simply means many, and morphism means behavior. Now, what it means is there is something which behaves differently in different situations based on situation. Let's say, as a human, you behave differently at different occasions, right? Example, at home, I behave differently. At my office, I behave differently. When I'm with my friends, I behave differently, right? So that situation changes me. In the same way, because the name also changes, right? At home, I'm a son, husband, a father. At office, I'm a colleague, I'm a boss, I'm an employee. With my friends, okay, they use different words, but then let's not mention that. So the important thing is your behavior, your name changes at every place, right? Your behavior changes based on that. In the same way, in the world of object-oriented, we have a concept of many behavior, polymorphism. So the same object or the same reference will have different behavior based on how you create the instance of it. Now, to implement this, there are multiple ways in different languages. But before we go into the implementation, let's talk about its type. So there are two types of polymorphism. One is called a compile time polymorphism, and second is called a runtime polymorphism. Of course, they have different names. Compile time is also called early binding. Runtime polymorphism is also called late binding, but we have these two words, compile time and runtime. Now, what do you mean by compile time? See, if you can define your behavior, so the behavior is defined at compile time, that is compile time polymorphism. If the behavior will be defined at runtime, that is called a runtime polymorphism. So when you compile the file and when you know what thing will get executed at the compile time itself, it is compile time. Now, which method will be executed will be decided at runtime, that's runtime. Now, we have done two examples here, which is overloading and overriding. So if we talk about overloading, it's a part of compile time, because at the compile time itself, example, let's say if you have two methods, you have, let's say, two methods, which is add, which takes two parameters, int and int. And then we have one more method here, which is add. And when you say int, which takes three parameters. Now, both this have the same name, but different parameters, that is method overloading. Now, which method to execute? Will you execute the first or second method will be decided at compile time. Now, let's say you have two classes, class A and class B, two different classes, and class B extends class A. We have talked about this in method overriding. And let's say you have a method which is add, which takes two parameters. And also here we also have the add method which takes two parameters. Now, out of these two, which one will get executed? It will be decided at runtime. So that is called a runtime polymorphism. In fact, there is one more concept which we are going to discuss in the implementation when we talk about dynamic method dispatch. At that point, this thing will get more clear. But just to generalize, what is polymorphism? Polymorphism means many behavior. So your behavior of your reference or your execution will change based on some situation. If it is compile time, which is your method overloading, where you decide based on the parameters at compile time itself. In runtime, you're not sure which method will be called because both the methods have the same name, same parameters. Something which we'll decide that we'll discuss in the next video, but that is method overriding, which is runtime polymorphism.